Hello and welcome to College Writing, C-Write 300, College of Natural Health Sciences, Bermuda. And of course, my name is Dr. Delcina Bean Burrows, and I will be your lecturer for this particular course. The course objectives for College Writing 300 are that at the conclusion of this course, students will be able to practice critical reading and thinking skills. They will understand the writing process and academic discourse. They will be able to apply revision strategies to written compositions. They will also understand the research process and its relation to writing. And they will also recognize and avoid errors in standard written English, such as grammar, mechanics, and stylistics. Now, in terms of the textbooks and reference books that we will be using for this course, we are going to be looking at Graf and Barkenstein's They Say, I Say 3rd edition. This book will be provided to you by way of a PDF because the actual book itself is actually quite costly. So even though we're going to give it to you in PDF, if you can, go ahead and get the PDF printed. You can go to somewhere like A.F. Smith, and in fact, I was able to get the book printed out, and it cost me $43.50, I believe, was the total. But sometimes reading from a computer screen can be very taxing on your eyes. So I always recommend if you can go ahead and get the book printed out, and they do a very nice job at A.F. Smith. So that's if you want to spend the money. Otherwise, you will have the PDF, and then the Long Knife and Sullivan's book, The Art of Styling Sentences, the 5th edition. This book is out of print, but sometimes you can get a used book in very good condition. But we're going to give you an abbreviated PDF of this book too, with some major references in it that we will use, and we'll refer to them from time to time. So again, if you can get even the PDF that I'm going to send you printed out, it would just be easier on your eyes in the long run. So with the De Graaf and Barkenstein, there are quite a few readings in there that we're going to reference. So that's the reason why we're going to give you the PDF, but recommend at the same time that if you're able to get it printed out, go ahead and do that. The actual book itself is actually something like $77, I believe, so last I checked. But you can make your own decision as to whether or not you want to spend the additional funds. So we have specific objectives for today's lecture, and at the end of today's lecture, students will become familiar with the course syllabus and the course structure. You will also understand the importance of having effective college writing skills. You will be able to identify common errors made in written English. You will also become familiar with different types of writing, and you will also become familiar with the features of an essay. So these are all the things that we're going to cover in this first lecture. Now, in terms of how the course is structured, you will have 12 video lectures. There are going to be 3 main essays that you will be required to write. You will have reading assignments, and you will have forum postings and online discussions. Now, with the forum postings and online discussions, sometimes what I will do is allow the forum posting for another course to count as the forum posting for this course, because I know it's going to be quite a bit of forum postings that you're going to have to do. So what we will do is we will allow some of the forum postings to count for 1 week, and then the following week I will always let you know this week's forum that might be for biochemistry, let's say. It also counts for your forum for the college writing course. So we're going to make this very manageable. So you're always going to be utilizing your skills in one specific area. So writing is just good writing no matter where it is. So Don't worry about, it's going to be too much. It's not. It's going to be quite manageable. In terms of our course syllabus, as you will see, we have various topics that we're going to cover from week to week, and you also will have assignments. And I specifically haven't given you the assignments for all of the weeks because what I will do is I will make an assessment as we kind of go along and progress through the course, and I may want to give you a different reading and a different assignment based on how you're progressing in the course. So, but for week 1, we will be looking at types of writing and features of an essay, common writing mistakes, and your assignment that you will see at the end is going to be to write an essay of an assessment of your writing skills. In week 2, sentence types and run-ons. Week 3, basic arguments. Week 4, academic writing. Week 5, reading and annotations. Week 6, summarizing. Week 7, quoting effectively. Week 8, APA style. And we're going to talk a lot about APA style because when you do research, this is the format that you're going to use. Week 9, responding. Week 10, critical thinking. Week 11, research strategy. And week 12, research questions. So let's talk about the importance of demonstrating effective writing skills as college students, as clinicians in training, and clinicians in training who will one day be fully operating licensed clinicians. Effective writing skills helps to ensure that more people will comprehend what it is that we are trying to convey. And this is perhaps the most important reason as to why we need to have effective writing skills. It's no point in preparing a report or some kind of communication either with a colleague or maybe another health professional and they don't understand what we are saying. So we need to have very straightforward, basic, effective writing skills that will really reach those individuals who we need to reach, and that the person who is reading what it is that we have prepared by way of the written word, that they really understand what it is that we're trying to convey. Also, when we display effective writing skills, this signifies a level of professionalism and credibility. We know specifically that in the complementary healthcare arena, we as clinicians sometimes suffer from the stigma of being those who practice pseudoscience. So if we don't have effective writing skills to back up what it is that we are saying, then it kind of takes away from our credibility and our professionalism. So we want to make sure that our skills are really up to par when it comes to writing. Also, when we have effective writing skills, it invites dialogue, further engagement and discussion, and interest. So it can be very discouraging sometimes if you go to the trouble of preparing a report and the person who is supposed to read the report or whoever the recipient is of the report, only to find out later on, well, they didn't quite read it because it wasn't very engaging, or maybe it was a bit disjointed, or the way how it was written, it was maybe downright boring. So again, if we want to make sure that those things aren't issues, then we want to make sure that our writing skills are above average. Also, effective writing skills can help to garner support for positions or stances that we as the writer may have to take. So if you feel strongly about a specific position that you need to take and you need to garner the support of others, then you need to start with making sure that the way that you have expressed those ideas and your position is very clear, and you are more than likely will be able to garner the kind of support you're going to need to help have other people support you in whatever conclusions you have drawn. And lastly, effective writing skills can help to bring to light important topics that may have otherwise remained obscure or hidden. And so we as college students, as well as clinicians in training and clinicians who will one day be in the world of work, we want to make sure that we are the ones shedding light on various topics, and the way in which we would do that is by demonstrating that we can effectively communicate those ideas in our writings. So what I'd like to do right now is just review some of the common mistakes that are often made in written English. The first is the misuse of articles, definite and indefinite article use, such as a, an, I, and the. And an example of this would be, I went to the grocery store to buy the apple, or I saw the frog outside the pump room. So what that should really say is, I went to the grocery store to buy an apple, because when you use the word the, it makes it almost as if there's only one apple, and so we know that's not the case. And then, of course, when you say, I saw the frog, that makes it sound as though there's only one frog. So, and we know, especially those of us who live in Bermuda, well, we have toads here, so, but you want to make sure that you use a definite when it's appropriate to use a definite, such as the word the, and use an indefinite article, such as the word a or an, when you are describing something, when you're using it in a sentence. The second one is the overuse of the article I. For example, I have at least 7 glue sticks left in my toolkit, and I would like to buy at least 7 more so that I can finish my project. So whenever you use the word I more than once, it probably doesn't denote the most professional, and some people may get the impression that an individual is narcissistic if they continually use the word I in a sentence. So the better way to put this would be, in my possession I have at least 7 glue sticks, and it would be good to be able to acquire more so that I can complete my project. So whatever way you can do where you can diminish the use of the word I, preferably you don't want to use the word I more than once in a sentence. And in a paragraph, you really want to make sure that you don't use the word I would say more than 2 times. So try to find a way that you can rephrase the sentence so it doesn't sound so narcissistic. But this is a sentence styling issue, and when we talk a little bit more about sentence structure and punctuation, we will go over that a little bit more. But this is just to give you an idea of some of the mistakes that people make often in written English. The third is using emojis or slang or abbreviations that should only be used in text. So for example, the story is just too funny, LOL, or I don't think he will be able to do it, IMO, which means in my opinion. Those words don't have, or I should say, those abbreviations don't have any place in written language when you are trying to if you're writing a report, and some people use them even in emails and things like that, but really the place is mainly supposed to be in text. Sometimes people will use them in their Facebook posts, which are less formal, but any kind of formal writing, you want to make sure that you're not using any slang or abbreviations. Inappropriate punctuation by way of omission, underuse, overuse, or misplacement of commas, periods, punctuation marks, parentheses, etc. is also another common mistake, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the section on sentence structure and punctuation and grammar. And the fifth mistake that is often made is beginning an essay with "my name is da 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 da," whatever your name is, when your name is already on the document. So what you want to make sure is that you try to begin your essay or your composition by not overstating the obvious. And again, like I said, these are just some of the common mistakes that are often made in written English. But our purpose here is for you to be able to look at when you're communicating and when you are writing some form of communication to someone who else will read it, someone else who will read it, you want to make sure that you come across as professional as possible and that it does appear that you did think about what it is that you wrote and also that you reread it before you actually submitted it. So these are just some of the things that I just wanted to bring to the fore right now and bring these things to your attention just so that you could start thinking about, do you make any of these mistakes? And if you don't, great. But we all can improve in these areas. So these are just some things that I'm bringing to our attention right now. Let us now consider the different types of writings. Writing takes on many forms. We have novels, newspaper articles, research journals, blogs, text messages, web pages, essays, tweets, magazine articles, and Facebook posts. Writings fall into three main categories. The first is expressive writing, and expressive writing is usually referred to as creative writing because it is very rich and descriptive, replete with metaphors, wordplay, rhythm, and it has many aesthetic features. Examples of expressive writing include novels, short stories, poems, memoirs, and creative nonfiction. Expository writing is the second category, and it is intended to explain something in order to convey knowledge. It is usually clearly structured and uses straightforward language that gets right to the point. Examples of expository writing include news stories or reports, event descriptions, historical writings, biographies, briefings, and informative web pages. Argumentative writings is the third category, and these writings express opinions with the intention of convincing or persuading the readers. Examples of argumentative writings include opinion editorials or op-ed pieces, research studies, academic journals, essays, and reviews of things such as products, articles, or even an institution. So now that we have an understanding of the different categories for which writing usually falls under, it's important for us to now take a look at the three key features of an essay. And during the course of your academic career, as well as once you become a fully qualified professional, you're probably going to be using more expository and argumentative types of pieces in terms of your essay writing. So let's look at the three features of an essay. The first feature that an essay usually has is an introduction. The introduction contains your opening statement at the very beginning of the essay, and it is in this opening statement that you will present your topic, which is the main idea or thesis. This is your chance to hook the reader to gain their interest in terms of what it is that you're going to be discussing in your paper, and it's usually one paragraph. The second part of your essay or feature is the body. And the body is the largest feature of an essay. Usually a good essay has between 3 and 5 paragraphs. But for our purposes today, we're going to look at mainly the first three. And in the first part of your body of your essay, which is body point 1, you're going to express your first point. You're going to give some examples of that or anything that supports your point. That's where you're going to include it. And likewise for the second paragraph, you're going to make your second point. You're also going to include any examples that support your point. And the third point, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to state what that point is. You're going to provide examples or anything that supports your point. And as I mentioned, it's usually between 3 and 5, but a good concise paragraph will have about 3 paragraphs. And then the third feature of an essay is a conclusion. You're going to use your closing you're going to put your closing statement and summarize your essay, in essence, in your conclusion. This is where you restate your main idea and you offer any suggestions that may, I guess, enhance your essay. This is where you're going to do the wrap-up, and it is usually 1 paragraph. And as I mentioned earlier, during the course of your academic career, you're going to be using quite a bit of essays. So you want to make sure that your essays are capturing these main features, that they have a clear, well-defined introduction, a very good, well-defined body that has supporting examples to what your main points are, and that your conclusion is very tightly written, and that you are summarizing, wrapping up, and offering suggestions in terms of the conclusions that you are making. So for assignment number 1, what I'd like you to do is prepare an essay of no more than 150 words. And in this essay, you're going to provide an assessment of your writing skills, indicating the areas you believe are the strongest, as well as the areas you believe require remediation. And as always, my office hours are on Thursdays from 4 to 6 p.m. So if you require additional help with this particular assignment, you can shoot me an email and we can set up a time when we can meet. Also, all assignments are due on Sunday by 11:55 p.m. So we want to make sure we get all our assignments in at the right time. I didn't give you an additional reading to do with this first assignment because you already have some reading assignments that you have to do for other courses. So I am going to, for just today, allow you to get away with this one assignment. And this is going to be important because at the end of this course, I'd like you to be able to go back and evaluate whether or not you believe you have strengthened your already strong skills that you may have in writing, and hopefully strengthen the ones where you believe you require remediation. Okay, so do take care and have the rest of a good day.